Good morning, it's March 28th, and this is to my liberal friends. For the first 2 years of the Biden administration, the president and his administration officials, including Homeland Secretary Mayorkas, all insisted the southern border was secure. But unfortunately for them, the mainstream media, read that CNN networks, finally had to start showing video of the chaos that reigns at the border. And finally, the truth has hit them square in the face, as polls showed illegal immigration to be a top issue with voters. In January, Joe Biden had to look the truth in the eye and face the facts. When asked if the border was secure, he replied, "No, it's not. I haven't believed that for the last 10 years, and I've said it for the last 10 years. Give me the money," end quote. Well, that's interesting to hear because it's not what he'd been saying by his administration. In March 21, Secretary Mayorkas told Congress the U.S.-Mexico border is secure and is not open. In July of 2022, Secretary Mayorkas again repeated himself by stating the border was secure. Moving forward to 2023, we see a bit of an about-face with the Secretary. He announced that he's using his authority to waive 26 federal laws, including the Clean Air Act, Endangered Species Act, Safe Water, in order to address the acute and immediate need to construct physical barriers on the border. Indeed, there were almost 233,000 encounters in August of that year, and the strain of illegal immigrants has extended from border securities to liberal sanctuary cities such as Chicago and New York. If the border was secure, why would you need to take this action? But guess what? Governor Abbott sending people north has gotten everybody in those big cities that call themselves sanctuaries a little angry. In July of 2023, in an appearance before the House Judiciary Committee, Mayorkas said this, quote, "Our approach to managing the border securely and humanely, even within our fundamentally broken immigration system, is working. Under President Biden's leadership, we have led the largest expansion of lawful, safe, and orderly pathways for people to seek humanitarian relief under our laws, at the same time imposing tougher consequences on those who instead resort to the ruthless smuggling organizations that prey on the most vulnerable," end quote. In other words, we're going to find a way to bring as many as we can here and allow them to stay. We're going to pass laws that allow the president to let them come in. Well, getting back to Joe Biden and his now admission the border is not secure, you have to wonder why his Homeland Secretary has been saying it was secure when Joe now says it hasn't been secure for the past 10 years. The question for all of us is how many really believe the administration, what it says when it came to the southern border. Remember when Vice President Kamala Harris was put in charge of the issue and her only visit was a couple of miles away from the border and all she got was a couple of photo ops? The reason this is on their minds now, it's becoming one of the top 2 issues in voters' minds. Well, the next question is, what is the impact on this massive illegal immigration having on the United States? Now, we all remember those northern cities and states that declared themselves sanctuaries for immigrants. How's that working out? How much is it now costing them now that they're feeling this wave of immigration? It's not just a Texas and California, New Mexico issue. Looking first at New York City, the cost is getting pretty high. At a town hall meeting last fall, Mayor Eric Adams stated that the huge influx of illegal immigrants, quote, will destroy New York City, end quote, due to the cost the city is incurring to provide for them. The city expects to spend $12 billion, that's right, $12 billion, over the next couple of years on housing, food, healthcare, and other services for these immigrants. In order to come up with these funds to cover the increased cost, the city plans to cut the budget by about 5% across a range of city services. And that includes sanitation, public education, and police. That means fewer services to the citizens of New York and probably higher taxes. In the District of Columbia, another self-professed sanctuary city, the cost of taking care of illegal immigrants is approaching $40 million this year. In Chicago, the cost of providing immigrants with housing, food, and other services is costing over $370 million. In Denver, Mayor Mike Johnston told the city council they can expect to spend $180 million, more than triple what it spends on the city's homeless population. Up in Massachusetts, it's being reported it will cost the state about $2 billion over the next 2 years. I particularly like Mayor Adams' program that just started. He's giving illegal immigrants $1,000 per month on debit cards. He thinks that's going to work. And that's only going to attract more. Throw in the cost of health care and education of migrant children, the costs are starting to have major impacts on state and local budgets. And then we have the crime issue. Up front, I want to say the majority of these immigrants do not commit crimes. But since they're not being vetted, we're finding many of them are not only committing crimes, but committing major felonies. Now, we all know about the murder of the young woman in Georgia, Laken Riley. How about the vehicular manslaughter case in Texas where an illegal migrant was driving drunk, no license, on the wrong side of the road, hits another vehicle head-on, killing 2. In California, they're arresting illegal immigrants from Romania. Yes, they're coming from around the world for a skimming operation where they're stealing credit card numbers from self-checkout stands at a Walmart. And we have the attack on police officers in New York City where they just laughed about it. And this list could go on and on. The point is, the border is not secure. It has not been secure since Biden took office. Trump's stay in Mexico policy was working. If you crossed the border, you were sent back and told to wait for your hearing in an immigration court. He realized that the vast majority that claim asylum will fail in court because they're coming for economic reasons or other reasons. And under the law, they could have stopped in several other countries to alleviate the, quote, fear they have. I would have to say both President Biden and Secretary Mayorkas, you have the tools to secure the border, but you have to use them. And to ignore those that won't like it on the left. I'll not hold my breath waiting for that to happen. Instead, Biden will continue to do what he does all the time. Blame somebody else. It's not my fault. It's been To My Liberal Friends. Thanks for listening.